Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. We are really thrilled to have you joining us for this deep dive
Yeah, it's great to be here.
because today we are taking on something that affects, well, almost every professional out there.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone.
Right. Whether you are running a massive corporate department or you're just, trying to keep your own desk from completely disappearing under a mountain of paper, this one is for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're pulling our insights today from an incredibly detailed article by Felix Romer. It's from smartkeys.org, and it's titled Building a Paperless Workflow. Save time by going fully digital.
It is a fantastic resource, and our mission for this deep dive is to truly unpack the strategic insights and really the practical value of transitioning to a digital-first document system.
Exactly. We're not just going to read you a software manual today.
Right. No one wants that.
No. We want to discuss how this comprehensive approach directly impacts the future of work, business efficiency, and, well, how it fundamentally changes how you and your team interact with information on a daily basis.
Because the way we work is completely shifting.
It is. And let's start by painting a picture of the current business landscape. If you are a modern professional, you probably know the exact pain I'm about to describe.
I think we all do.
You have these piles of mixed physical files sitting on your desk.
Mm.
You have an email inbox that is just overflowing with PDF attachments.
The dreaded inbox.
Yeah. And then when your boss, or maybe an auditor, asks for a specific vendor contract, you're forced into this desperate hunt through deep, nested computer folders.
Just clicking folder after folder.
Exactly. Just praying that somebody somewhere actually named the file correctly. It's stressful. It drains hours of productivity. And honestly, physical storage is just a massive vulnerability.
It really is. And what's fascinating here is that this transition to a digital-first system, specifically looking at the architecture of tools like Paperless Sang, which the source material heavily draws from.
Right.
It isn't just about saving physical space in the office. I mean, yes, clearing out those bulky metal filing cabinets is a nice bonus.
A very nice bonus.
But the real business value is in instant retrieval, data security, and audit readiness. The article highlights a critical concept that every business leader needs to hear.
Which is?
That a consistent index and clear permissions allow a business to prove chain of custody and find records instantly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Wait, let me rephrase that. Okay, let's unpack this. Because proving chain of custody sounds incredibly serious.
It is.
Especially for finance or human resources departments. The article mentions standardizing dates as part of this audit trail.
Mm.
Can you explain the difference between the dates we actually need to track?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think a lot of people just assume a date is a date.
That is a very common misconception, and it's one that can cause massive headaches or even legal trouble during a formal audit.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. You have to understand the vital difference between date created and date added.
Okay, lay it out for us.
Let's say you have a vendor invoice that was printed and mailed to you in January, but it got lost under a stack of folders on someone's desk until March.
Happens all the time.
Right. You want to keep the date created true to the date the document was actually issued, so January.
Makes sense.
But the date added is completely different. That is an immutable, unchangeable timestamp of exactly when that document was scanned and ingested into your digital system in March.
Wait, so if the date added is permanent, does that mean if I make a mistake uploading it, the audit trail shows that mistake forever?
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
that is by design.
Ah, I see.
You use that immutable date added to track ingestion for audit readiness. It proves to an auditor exactly when your business received and processed the record.
So you can't fake it.
No, you cannot go back and rewrite history to make it look like you processed that invoice in January. That level of transparency is non-negotiable for strict compliance.
That makes a lot more sense now.
Oh,
You're protecting the business by being honest about the timeline.
precisely.
So before we even start throwing files into a system like this, the text emphasizes the absolute importance of planning.
You have to plan.
You cannot just dump everything into a digital void and hope the search bar saves you. You have to sit down and map your core document types, things like invoices, bank statements, client contracts, and decide where they belong.
Because if you fail to plan your metadata and storage paths early on, you are just recreating your messy physical filing cabinet on an expensive hard drive.
That is such a great point.
The strategy here revolves heavily around structuring with tags, specifically using nested tags, which you can layer up to 5 levels deep.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm visualizing this correctly. Is it basically like having a highly intelligent filing cabinet for your office?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Say I have a specific subfolder for 2024 Q3 marketing expenses. If I put a digital document into that specific subfolder, this intelligent system automatically applies all the broader category labels above it.
Precisely. It automatically tags it as marketing expenses in 2024 without you having to manually check all those individual boxes.
It saves so much time.
It does. The parent-child behavior of nested tags keeps your entire organizational structure intact, which dramatically reduces data entry fatigue for your staff.
Right, because nobody wants to click 5 different tags for every single piece of paper.
Exactly. And this structural planning extends to your storage path templates as well. The source discusses the importance of predictable file naming for server backups and data exports.
Okay.
You want the system to automatically place files into a logical directory structure on your server based on that metadata.
I'm actually looking at Felix's article right now, and he maps out some specific templates for these storage paths.
He gives some great examples.
Yeah, for instance, he shows an archival path that looks like this. It goes /archive, then / the document type, then / the 4-digit year of the date created, / the correspondent, and finally / the file name.
And that structure is incredibly powerful.
It seems so clean.
It is. Another great example he provides is for accounts payable. It routes to /finance, /AP, / the year and month of the date created, / the correspondent, / the ASN, -- the file name.
Wow, that is specific.
When your system automatically names and stores files this way, your IT department will love you. Because server backups are perfectly organized and cross-system linking becomes incredibly reliable.
So once we have that map, we have to actually set up the foundation of the system. The article talks about getting the web user interface ready, setting up your dashboards, your saved views, so you can see exactly what you need at a glance. But then there's the consumption directory, the place where the system essentially, well, eats the new files.
Right. The consumption directory is your intake funnel. But a crucial part of this setup is tuning your optical character recognition, or OCR settings.
Because OCR is the technology that reads a scanned image and turns it into searchable text.
Exactly. But you do not want the system wasting your server's processing power trying to read a digital PDF that is already perfectly readable text.
That makes sense.
There is a specific backend setting the author mentions. You can find the exact code string in the article. It's paperless _OCR _skip _archive _file equals with _text.
Okay, got it. Paperless _parky file with text.
Right. That tells the system to skip creating redundant archives if the file is already digital only and has text.
But what about actual paper that we scan in?
For scanned paper, it ensures the system creates a PDFA archival copy.
And PDFA is...
For those who might not know, PDFA is the gold standard format for long-term document preservation. It essentially bakes the fonts and formatting directly into the file. So whether you open it tomorrow or 50 years from now, it looks exactly the same.
I love that. It is all about making the system work smarter, not harder.
Absolutely.
But let's pivot a bit, because the folder structure makes sense for storage. But I am thinking about the actual physical paper sitting on my desk right now.
The physical intake.
Yeah. I do not want to scan these one by one into a web browser. How does the article suggest actually getting the paper into the machine?
Consolidating intake is the ultimate goal here. And there are multiple ways to bridge the gap between the physical and digital worlds.
Okay.
The most basic is just dragging and dropping files into the web UI. But for physical paper, you can hook up your network scanners via SMB or FTP.
Okay, let's clarify those for a second. SMB and FTP.
Sure. SMB, or server message block, is basically just a shared network folder that your scanner can securely talk to.
Right.
FTP, or file transfer protocol, is an older but very reliable way of shooting files across a network. Either way, it means the moment you scan a piece of paper on the office copier, it drops directly into that consumption folder we just talked about.
So no middleman.
Exactly. And for the really tech-savvy operations, you can use the REST API, which is essentially the language modern software uses to talk to other software.
To automate it.
Yes, to automatically pull documents from your existing ERP, which is the big brain software running your company, or your CRM, where you manage your customer relationships.
That covers a lot of bases.
Yeah.
But we cannot forget about email. Because in my experience, that is where so many critical business documents currently live. And unfortunately, where they die.
Email parsing is a massive feature, but it has to be done safely. You do not want to just hand over your raw email password to a third-party app.
Definitely not.
The text recommends connecting Gmail or Outlook via OAuth 2. This is a secure login method that grants access without ever storing your vulnerable passwords in the configuration.
Oh, that's smart.
From there, you set up per-account rules. You can filter incoming mail by specific folders, by the sender, or even by file name patterns.
Like what?
For example, you can tell it to only pull attachments that have the word invoice in the title.
But if it is constantly sweeping my inbox, what happens if the system checks the same email twice? Am I going to end up with 10 copies of the same invoice clogging up my storage limit?
No, the system is much smarter than that. It uses UID checks, which stands for Unique Identifier Checks.
Okay.
Think of it as giving every single email a unique digital fingerprint. The system tracks exactly which fingerprints have been processed.
Oh.
If a message has been read and the attachment pulled, the system remembers that UID and completely ignores it on the next sweep. You completely avoid duplicate ingestion.
That is fantastic. Now, there was one specific detail in this section that I found absolutely fascinating, and I really want to dig into it. The ASN, or Archive Serial Number.
Ah, yes. The ASN.
It sounds a bit dry and technical, but the way the author describes it, it solves a huge real-world problem.
It really does. The ASN is the ultimate bridge between the digital system and your physical reality. Let's say you have a 10-page vendor contract signed in blue ink, and legally, your compliance team says you must retain the physical original for 7 years.
Right.
If you just scan it and throw the paper in a random box in the storage room, you'll never find it when the auditors arrive.
It's a needle in a haystack.
But with an ASN, the system generates a unique sequential number, let's say ASN 1042. You literally take a physical sticker with 1042 printed on it, stick it directly to the physical paper contract, and put it in a box sequentially. Box 1000 to 1100.
Okay, I'm tracking.
Then, in the digital software, you tag the scanned PDF with that same ASN 1042. 2 years later, an auditor asks for that specific contract. You search the digital system, it instantly brings up the PDF, and right there on the screen it says ASN 1042.
That is brilliant.
You know exactly which box in which storage room to walk to. You pull it in 30 seconds, no more guesswork.
The time saved there is just unbelievable. And you pair that with correspondence, which is how the system tags the sender, like a vendor or a bank, and custom fields for things like specific invoice numbers or dollar value.
Exactly.
Suddenly, your ability to search is incredibly enriched. But with all this powerful search capability and easy access, we absolutely have to talk about security.
This raises an important question regarding access control. Not everyone in the company should be able to see everything. The author breaks down permissions into 2 distinct categories: global and object level. Global permissions are for general areas who can view the main document list, who can manage tags, or tweak system settings.
And the other one?
Object-level permissions are where you truly protect the business.
Because I am imagining a scenario where an intern is poking around the system and accidentally pulls up the CEO's employment contract or the company payroll data. That is a disaster.
That is the exact nightmare scenario. Object-level permissions prevent. They restrict visibility and edit rights on specific individual files.
Oh.
You use these for highly sensitive HR or finance documents so that only designated people or designated groups like the executive team can even see that the file exists in the search results, let alone open or edit it.
So they don't even know it's there.
Exactly. Furthermore, to protect the user accounts themselves, the system requires two-factor authentication, specifically TOTP, which generates a temporary time-based card on your phone.
Essential these days.
And the author notes, you must configure your SMTP, which is essentially the digital mailman protocol for your server, so that password reset emails are handled securely and route only to the correct addresses. You configure that using Paperless Mailhost.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because once your files are secure, digitized, and tagged, you can start automating the workflow. This is where you actually get your time back.
This is the best part.
We aren't just storing files anymore. The system is actively working for us.
Automation is the engine of a modern paperless system. Triggers start a chain of actions. These triggers can be an incoming email, a scheduled time check, a manual button pushed in the UI, or webhooks. A
Webhooks.
webhook is basically just a way for two different apps to instantly tap each other on the shoulder and share data.
Ah, okay.
Let's look at the exact real-world examples the text provides, starting with invoice intake.
Let's really walk through this because processing invoices manually is universally painful. Think about the old way. An invoice arrives, someone prints it, manually types the vendor name and amount into an accounting program, puts it in an inner office envelope, walks it to a manager's desk for a signature, waits a week, and then finally files the paper away.
A total waste of time.
How does the system change that?
It changes everything. Imagine an email arrives from a supplier. The trigger recognizes the file name pattern invoice. Instantly, the system runs OCR to read the text. It automatically assigns nested tags, placing it in finance, and then into accounts payable.
Instantly.
Instantly, it tags the specific vendor name. Then it uses if-else logic based on the extracted text. The system reads the total dollar amount.
Wow.
If the amount exceeds a certain threshold you have set, it inserts a wait action, pausing the workflow and automatically routing it to a manager for approval.
And what if it's just a routine low-dollar invoice under the threshold?
If it is under the threshold, the subflow takes a completely different path. It automatically applies a ready-to-pay tag, fires off an internal email to the AP team alerting them, and simultaneously uses a webhook to post directly to your accounting system, pushing the invoice number, vendor, and amount.
Are you serious?
The data entry is basically done for you in about 2 seconds.
That is staggering. The software is effectively doing the work of a junior administrative clerk without ever taking a coffee break.
Pretty much.
And there was another great example about HR onboarding, which obviously have a very different set of requirements than paying a bill.
Yes, HR requires ironclad privacy. Imagine hiring a new employee. You have their direct deposit form with full banking routing numbers, a copy of their driver's license, and their offer letter.
Highly sensitive.
Very. In an HR onboarding workflow, the automation instantly restricts those incoming sensitive files to HR user groups only using object-level permissions. It tags the file by the specific employee name and the onboarding process. Most importantly, it prevents anyone from editing the document while allowing company leadership traceable, read-only access.
Wow.
The privacy remains completely secure, but the approvals are fully transparent and trackable.
So the files are incredibly secure, they are routing themselves, the data entry is automated. But what about when we need to collaborate externally? Say, I need to share a massive 50-page digital brief with an outside legal counsel.
Right.
I really do not want to go through the hassle of provisioning a whole new user account for them on our internal server just for one single document.
And you shouldn't have to. The source outlines a very clean, elegant solution for this: public share links.
Okay, how does that work?
You can generate a specific URL that grants temporary external access without requiring a login. It uses what is called a slug.
A slug.
Yeah, the path is your paperless URL/share/slug. The slug is just that random string of unique characters at the end of a web address, so it is impossible to guess.
But I assume I don't want that link floating around the internet forever.
Exactly. The crucial security feature here is that you can set optional expirations on these links. After a set time, say 48 hours, the link simply dies, and the visitor is greeted by a login screen they cannot get past.
That's reassuring.
And if you just need to send a copy to someone quickly, the text notes, you can do bulk email sharing directly from the document detail view without even leaving the system to open your email client.
That is perfect for fast, temporary collaboration.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, all of this collaboration, routing, and sharing relies on one fundamental capability: search.
Right. If you can't find it, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Daily management of your business wins or loses on your search capability. Think about the business value here. With this system, you are utilizing advanced search queries against the OCR text that was extracted, against your custom fields, and against your tag.
It's looking at everything.
Yes, you can pinpoint exact matches across tens of thousands of documents in seconds, rather than paying an employee to dig through boxes in a basement for 3 hours.
And it is not just searching when you proactively need something. The system also tells you what needs your attention, right?
Precisely. You utilize saved views and alerts. You can pin a saved view to your dashboard that automatically catches items with missing fields or flags contracts that are approaching their retention expirations.
So you're never caught off guard.
Right. You know exactly what needs to be formally archived or deleted for legal compliance.
So what does this all mean? For you, the listener, the strategic advantage here is immense. You are taking a chaotic, physical, error-prone environment and turning it into a streamlined, automated, and secure digital fortress.
That's a great way to put it.
You are speeding up response times, ensuring legal compliance, and freeing your entire team from mind-numbing manual data entry.
But there is a massive caveat, and it is the core practical advice from the author that you should take away today. Do not boil the ocean.
Good advice.
Do not try to digitize your entire company's 10-year paper backlog over a single weekend.
Oh, absolutely not. That sounds like a complete nightmare for morale and honestly a recipe for an IT meltdown.
It is. Start small. Pick one clear, highly repetitive process per department. Maybe just start with AP invoices for finance or onboarding packets for HR.
Keep it contained.
Yes. Train your users strictly on the naming conventions and the tag structures. Measure the actual time saved by the automation. Once you have proven success and user buy-in, then you expand your storage path templates and your automation coverage.
Prove the concept first.
Exactly. And always ensure users keep their original files in the incoming folder and let the system safely move process files to the secure archive path. Let the software do the heavy lifting.
I think that is incredibly sound, practical advice. Just take it one step and one workflow at a time.
I agree completely. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to ponder, building on everything we have unpacked today.
Let's hear it.
If our digital systems are now capable of automatically reading, tagging, routing, and approving complex documents via subflows and webhooks, how will this completely redefine the nature of entry-level administrative and data entry roles in the modern enterprise over the next 5 years?
That's a huge shift.
When the software effectively becomes the administrator, what does the human workforce transition to?
That is a fascinating question and definitely something to think about as you start planning your own digital transformation. Do we lose those entry-level jobs, or do they just evolve into something more analytical?
It's going to be interesting to watch.
Thank you for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast. We really hope you gained some valuable insights today. Please make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a deep dive. And we highly encourage you to read Felix Romer's full article to get all the technical standard operating procedures and the complete productivity examples we discussed today. You can find a link right down in the show notes. Until next time, keep optimizing.